content. So if you wish to support, the links will...
So basically, what I thought was going on the whole time is actually going on, but I digress. I'll give you the theory of what I thought. I thought that that the utility companies were using the sewage system, uh, and they're actually using the sewage for energy. And it turns out it's probably true. So they're not only are they getting natural methane from all of the sewage, they're getting methane, and then they also can turn around and make fertilizer out of the excrement. They use the excrement for something, and then also the pumping station itself is a hydroelectric power production facility. But I digress. Check this out.
be in the description, and I appreciate it, and thanks in advance. So, Crossness pumping station. I believe it's an old world power station converted into a sewage pumping station. Let me know what you think in the description. Let's go. Right, where do I start with this beauty of a building? I honestly don't know where to start, but I think the best place to start would be with this guy, Joseph Basil Getty. And he is the guy that actually, according to the narrative, he's the guy that constructed and designed the modern sewage system under London. And it had numerous pumping stations attached to it. Now, I won't go into it now, but I believe that old world power stations, hydro power stations, turned into sewage ways. That's what I believe. Because I believe all the tunnels and the system was already there, and they just reused it after a reset. But anyway, there's a thing called the Great Stink that come about. And let me just clear one thing up. A lot of people are saying I use Wikipedia for a lot, and they say that, like, let me just clear one thing up. What I believe is what I make the video on, and what I use to bring to you what the narrative says is I use Wikipedia. I don't use it to back up what I'm saying. Only sometimes, like when they might mention a mineral deposit of something, but I don't use it as a history sort of thing. I use it to give you a guideline of what the narrative says. So the Great Stink was an event in central London in July and August 1858, during which the hot weather exacerbated the smell of untreated human waste and industrial effluent that was present on the banks of the River Thames. The problem had been mounting for some years, with an ageing, inadequate sewer system that emptied directly onto the Thames. The miasma from the effluent was thought to transmit contagious diseases, and 3 outbreaks of cholera before the Great Stink were blamed on the ongoing problems on the river. Good old Father Thames, I've heard that one before. So what does that represent? River Thames is represented as a father figure to 3 terrible diseases: diphtheria, scaphola and cholera, which were spread via the river water. So because of this pandemic, this Joseph, he decided, or the narrative says that he was to build an extensive subterranean network to get rid of all the waste and pump it away from the Thames. And with that, this is the product that apparently he built. But if you look at the blockwork or the brickwork, you can see that it's a heck of a lot older than 160 years.
Loud Mexican music.
Look at
in the
this.
background.
Look how advanced it is as well. See, when you're doing waste, it has to have a certain fall on it. Obviously poo and water don't go uphill, it goes downhill. So everything has to have a little fall on it. And I mean, to do this underground, they talk about the Thames being built, the Thames Tunnel, but this is 20 times harder than the Thames Tunnel, I'd say. Anyway, let's have a look at the actual building itself, because there's tech on it and all sorts of stuff. You can see around the bottom of the building they've added these new stones to make it look new. And you can see here that it's been filled in recently, or in the photo recently, the old photo recently, and it was mud flooded. But when I went there at the weekend, they dug all the mud back and used it as an entrance. But you can see tech on top of the buildings. You can see tech above each of the windows. And I mean, look how ornate this is. And there's parts of it as well. I mean, look how damaged and dirty this brickwork looks. And then if you look at the front half of it here.
So what I suspect is when these inhabitants moved into England, they didn't even know how to use the tech, and then once they figured out how to use the tech, which is the electricity water pumping stations, they started filling them up with shit.
Clean.